Here's how to improve communication in every sector of your life. And you're going to want to save this and come back to it because it's a muscle and you have to kind of work on it to make it a habit whenever you're dealing with a situation where you're feeling like there might be some conflict or resistance, or it's just really important and you want to make sure that everything that you want to achieve in a conversation is going to happen. So what you're going to do is you're going to frame a conversation. And this is really similar to like when you're in a meeting and you have an agenda, or if you're in a call, um, someone's trying to sell you something and they tell you how the call is going to go ahead of time. But this is a little bit different because it's a lot more, it's more collaborative, right? You're going to set the tone, and this is going to help keep you from responding in your pain body, from emotions. It should help the other person and you from feeling like too defensive to be constructive. So, generally, if you're having a conversation, you're trying to learn, understand, and or resolve, right? Some combination in there. You want to learn, understand, resolve. So you say that up front. I'd like to have this conversation so I can learn where you're coming from and understand it, and then we can resolve this. Do you agree to have this conversation? And then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to frame your point of view. You're going to say, may I share my point of view on this with you? I just want you to understand where I'm coming from as I bring this up. And then I would like to hear where you're coming from. And then you state how you feel. You say your context and how you're receiving information, because quite often we are not understanding how we're being perceived or received, and a lot of times it's not really aligned with our intent. We don't always know the impact of our intent, right? We don't always know how we're impacting other people. So it's really important that you kind of get that out of the way, because you might be receiving someone totally different than they understand, and vice versa. So you want to first explain where you're coming from, and then you want to hear where they're coming from, and you're just going to listen. All right. You're not going to interrupt. You're not going to argue. You're not going to say, I know, but, or be defensive or anything like that. Once you have all the information, you frame it again. Does it sound like there are points where we're agreeing here? The other person hopefully says yes. Then you can restate. You say, do you feel like we agree here? Hopefully they're interacting. I feel like we also agree here and here. Okay, so you establish where you agree. Now that you have a foundation of agreement, you can together establish where you do not agree, and you frame it again. Let's look at where we're having disagreement here. And then you pull those parts out. Okay, your goal is to learn, understand, and resolve, not to be right or wrong or win or lose. Okay, so when you come at it from that point of view, it's going to be way more constructive and less emotional. Doesn't mean you don't care, it means you don't let emotions dictate where the conversation goes. All right, you're trying to step back and look at it more objectively. Once you agree on where you might be not agreeing, you can together make a plan with ownership. And again, you're going to frame it. I would like to make a plan where we are both owning the things we need to do to resolve this going forward, or to prevent this issue from coming up again. Do you agree that that's a good next step? Hopefully, yes. I also want that to happen. Okay. And then you together make a plan, because there are things that you're each maybe doing a little differently that you're going to own differently, and you both make agreements and then you stick to them. All right. And then you now have solved a problem without hopefully yelling, without getting so emotional. You're not being reasonable anymore. without shutting down or causing the other person to shut down, without blaming. You've come together in this a shared spirit of learning, understanding, and resolving, and you kept framing the conversation back to that, gain the other person to agree that that's what you're doing, to help remind them that the point of you having a discussion is because there's something going on between you that is important enough that you would put that work in, that it matters enough, whether it's professional, whether it's personal. If you care enough about the situation, then you should care enough to want to resolve it without it turning into a battle of wills of who's going to win and who's going to lose. Okay?